welcome back. In my research of murders and mysteries within a 3-hour radius of my hometown of Port Pirie in South Australia, we travel this time to the Adelaide northern suburb of Craigmore, about 2 hours and 20 minutes south. This is one of those crimes almost beyond belief. 3 young women obsessed with the gruesome, the macabre and worse. The victim, a harmless old man, stabbed to death in his own home. The killer, his beloved granddaughter. From the moment Brittney Dwyer was born, she was adored by her grandfather, Robert Whitwell. But little Brittney would grow up to become a psychopathic killer who would brutally take the life of the man she called Poppa. She would recruit 2 friends to rob her grandfather, but instead she stabbed him in the throat, and as he bled to death, she washed the dishes. Then, for weeks, pretended to grieve with her family.
Normal family. We did what every other family would do.
Ryan is Brittney's older brother.
That's very nice. Don't wake her up, will you?
She's so sweet and, she went through life as a normal, girl growing up, really.
She was very strong-willed. She was very much tomboy. Yeah, she was adventurous. She loved life. She just enjoyed what we gave her.
Tonya was a stay-at-home mum, and her husband Darren was a builder. They were raising their family in Brisbane, but would visit her parents in Adelaide whenever they could. By the time Brittney got to high school, the happy little child had faded away and was replaced by a moody, teenage girl who struggled to fit in.
She just found that she couldn't fit in, and so she became somewhat of a bully to, I believe, to isolate herself from others, which then backfired on her, and she then was getting bullied.
Brittney began to self-harm and dabble in drugs. During this time, Brittney befriended Shelby Lee Holmes, another loner on the fringes. Brittney would later infer that she and Shelby were lovers, but Shelby has denied this.
One of the allegations was that you girls were romantically involved. Were you?
Never, no. We've always just been best friends, and that's it, yeah.
What did you guys like doing together? What were some of the things that you got up to?
Well, when we got our licenses, we'd just drive around and find cool places to go, I guess, yeah. Go to the beach and just random things, whatever we felt like doing on that day.
Brittney and Shelby were up to much more than innocent drives to the beach.
I think they are a little bit dark, as in they would do things in cemeteries. They would go to cemetery tours and dark things. There's some things with blood and knives, and I think they had a bit of an obsession with some dark stuff.
At 18, Brittney moved in with her best friend Shelby, but struggled with the responsibility of rent and bills. Her drug taking escalated. Brittney hid the dark side of her life from her family, but texts between she and Shelby revealed a sinister side.
19,000 messages between the two of you over the course of 2 years. And you, in those messages, discussed killing people at rave parties, going on rampages, slitting throats.
Of course, that's a joke. Not many people would take that as a joke, but Brittney and I just watched a lot of horror movies and just joked I guess.
Meanwhile, Brittney's grandfather Robert was living alone in the northern suburb of Craigmore in Adelaide. His wife Joyce was now in a nursing home suffering from dementia. Like many seniors, Robert didn't trust banks and kept his life savings hidden at home. A small fortune of more than $100,000. He told his daughter Tonya how much it was and that it was hidden in his shed.
Oh my God, Dad. That's just too much money to have at home. I said, what if some drug dealer found out that you had all this cash at home? And he said, who's going to know? And Brittney was standing right next to me.
Brittney was determined to get her hands on her grandfather's money and convinced her best friend Shelby to drive the 2,000 kilometres to Adelaide with her to steal it. When they arrived, they parked nearby, watching and waiting, monitoring Robert's movements. The next evening, while Robert was out, the girls used a milk crate to climb the fence and tried to get into the shed. A security light came on in the yard and a neighbouring dog began to bark, scaring the girls away, empty-handed.
What were you going to do?
Just steal some money, I guess, from the shed.
There was a text message where Brittney issued a bit of a warning to you. Can you tell me what that said?
I walked past the house to see if he was home. He said hello to me, so I said hello. And then I texted Brittney saying that he's so nice.
What did she say to you?
She said something like, don't get attached to him. You might have to die. She sent that text to scare me because she knew I was scared and didn't really want to do it. So she was just trying to scare me and freak me out.
Did you believe her?
No. Not at all.
Shelby was becoming nervous and began to doubt the plan.
What sort of people would a person like Brittney gather around her?
People she can control. It's all about control, manipulation, and remember, a psychopath sees everybody else either as prey or as somebody to compete with. So they will gather people around them that are prey that they can get something from.
Bernadette Burns was 22 years old when she met Brittney, a young woman at a loose end. Having lost custody of a daughter when she was 17 years old, she'd spiralled into desperate drug addiction. Bernadette was just what Brittney was looking for. In August 2016, Brittney and her new partner in crime drove the 2,000 kilometres back to Adelaide. They planned to rob and kill Brittney's grandfather, Robert. Bernadette waited outside in the car, applying her makeup, while Brittney, acting like it was a normal visit, sat side by side with her grandfather, looking through photo albums and reminiscing about happy family times. Brittney claims that at that point she decided that she couldn't go through with the murder and sent Bernadette a text. Bernadette replied, saying just harden up and do it. As Robert walked his granddaughter to the front door to say goodbye, Brittney pulled out a knife and stabbed her grandfather repeatedly in the neck and throat. Her shocked Poppa simply asked why, then staggered back to the kitchen looking for first aid. Brittney claims to have assisted him with a band-aid. Then, while Brittney inexplicably washed the dishes, Robert sat down in a chair and bled to death. Brittney texted Bernadette again, saying it's done, before ransacking the house for the money she'd come for, but she never found it. She ended up stealing $1,000 from the house, along with 2 digital cameras. While driving back to Brisbane, Brittney received a call from her mother, telling her that the police had called and that her Poppa had died, and she would need Brittney and Ryan to fly down to Adelaide with her. Apparently Brittney broke down in tears and told her mother she would be there in a couple of hours. Brittney drove straight to her distraught family, and then she, Ryan and Tonya boarded the first flight to Adelaide. She kept up the act as a grieving granddaughter for 21 days, all the while holding her dark secret.
Brittney feigned shock and was devastated. Is that all fake?
If she's a psychopath, yeah. It's how she would expect to respond in that situation. And they're very good at that. They're basically chameleons. They will adapt to a situation and they will have seen how other people respond. Her mother was probably devastated. So it's clear to her how she should behave in that scenario. Whether she felt it or not, she's a psychopath, no.
If Brittney was worried, she hid it well. Only days later she would help celebrate Ryan's birthday, a bittersweet day they spent at one of their grandfather's favourite places.
A bittersweet day they spent at one of their grandfather's favourite places.
There's photos of us just enjoying that moment. I can't look at those photos because there's lies all over it.
For 3 weeks, Brittney and her accomplice, Bernadette Burns, believed they had gotten away with murder, but an anonymous tip led police to arrest them, as well as Brittney's first partner in crime, Shelby Holmes. When Tony and Ryan saw Brittney in court, they were shocked by her appearance, but even more stunned to hear Brittney's claim that she was motivated to kill by the popular television series American Horror Story. Even more hurtful to the family was Brittney's 11th hour accusation that she'd been molested by her grandfather, a claim the court dismissed. The family was also angry that Brittney's first partner in the attempted robbery, Shelby Holmes, was sentenced to just a week in prison for trespassing. Today, Tonya is both a daughter coming to terms with her grief and a mother overcome with questions.
I've lost 2 people. I've lost my dad and I've lost my daughter. And I don't know if I will ever understand the whole story.
Brittney Dwyer was sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 21 years, with the judge describing the crime as brutal, callous and cold-bloodedly planned. Bernadette Burns was also sentenced to life imprisonment for a statutory murder charge, which means she didn't actually commit the murder, with a non-parole period of 13.5 years. The aftershock has been devastating. Tonya and her husband have separated, and Robert's beloved wife Joyce, living in a nearby nursing home, passed away shortly after his murder. Since her arrest, Brittney has refused to speak to her mother, but her brother Ryan has called her.
It was hard because I wanted to be like, I hate you. Like, how could you have done this? But I found myself listening to the girl I grew up with, and I couldn't say that.
Tonya Dwyer hopes that at the very least, what happened to her father might save someone else's life.
If there is any of the older generation that are keeping large sums of money at home, please don't do that. It's not safe. And if that can just help one person go and put your money in a safety deposit box, I'll feel better.
Brittney will be 40 years old when she becomes eligible for parole. Quite a piece of work, huh? I hope you enjoyed watching. And please help me out in the YouTube world by clicking on the like before you go. Also subscribe if you'd like to know when more murder, mystery and mayhem stories are uploaded. Thank you.